So, ladies and gentlemen, when does an embellishment become an out-and-out lie? Well, that's what we're questioning in New Brunswick over the last few days, because according to the provincial government, they received hundreds of complaints about the LGBTQ policy called Policy 7113 in New Brunswick. Now, New Brunswickers, as of this presentation, still don't know exactly how many complaints triggered a review of a policy meant to protect LGBTQ students, and likely won't be able to find out before the review is finalized, which could come in 2 weeks. Now, according to CBC, Education Minister Bill Hogan, who was interviewed on CBC Radio this morning in a very confrontational manner by the CBC reporter, and it didn't show well for either him or the reporter, said the review of Policy 7113 was triggered by misinterpretations and concerns, and said the province had received hundreds of complaints about it. He has never clarified how many of those came before the review decision and how many came after review became public. The policy was implemented in 2020 by the Conservative government and guarantees minimum protections to LGBTQ kids in school, including providing gender-neutral washrooms and respecting their pronouns in the classroom. Now, Premier Blaine Higgs, who himself is the originator of the Confederation of Regions White right-wing party in New Brunswick, confirmed this week the main issue of the policy, and that it says if a child under 16 wants an informal name or pronoun change, teachers are required to get consent of the child before telling their parents. Parents still have to sign off on any formal changes, and the policy does not change that. Now, Policy 713 triggered little public debate until 2 weeks ago. On May 5th, a small group of people holding placards protesting its implementation stood outside a school where teachers were holding professional development sessions. Now, they were acting similar to the right-wing Trumpians in the States. Soon after, that's when the province confirmed the media that had been reviewing the policy since mid-April. On Thursday, spokesperson Morgan Bell said the decision review was communicated on April 21st, but she did not answer a question about when the decision review was made. Now, the closest anyone has come to uncovering the substance of the complaints received by the government is Kelly Lamrock, the province's child and youth advocate. Lamrock was a former Liberal cabinet minister who jumped to the Conservative Party several years ago. He asked the province for the correspondence that triggered a review, and officials sent him copies of 3 emails. All 3 make unsubstantiated, sometimes homophobic claims. He also addressed curriculum concerns, which Policy 713 does not dictate, and none referred to the specific policy. One sent in September of 2022 said LGBT material should not be taught because it's against Christian beliefs. And of course, in the province, schools are not religious-based anymore, not since the 70s. Now, the third one from another email from October 22 said the kids are taught to be Marxists and unscientific, and it states unscientific nonsense about gender. The third one from April 4, 2023, referred to a long-debunked conspiracy theory about litter boxes in schools. I'm going to get into that, but you know what I'm talking about. Now, based on these emails and other information given to him by the province, Lamrock said he recommended that the province pause the review and called the process broken and incoherent. I am not sure any government decision could survive if receiving 3 complaints led to reconsideration. Now, when newly crowned Liberal Party leader Susan Holt stood up in question period on Wednesday in the Ledge and asked about discrepancy between hundreds of complaints and just 3, Hogan said Lamrock asked for a couple of samples up to a certain point in March. In fact, according to CBC research, in his correspondence with the province, which was included in the report released early in the week, Lamrock asked for any correspondence containing the misinterpretations or concerns the department was citing as the basis for his review. Now, Lamrock's correspondence makes no mention of the month of March. He asked for documentation of the concerns the province referred to on April 25th, when it confirmed to him the review was underway. When Hogan suggested Lamrock merely ask for a sample, he did not say why the province would put these particular emails in a sample, since he did not touch on any of the policy sections under review. When Holt asked for an inventory of the complaints, Hogan said she should file a right to information request. Now, in New Brunswick, that could take upwards of 30 to 60 days, depending on the case. So, according to Holt, I have a number, this Hogan would want it right away. But Hogan said, I have a number of petitions on my desk in my office, in my constituency office. I also have a couple of recordings of some voicemails that I've left in my phone in my constituency office. I have a whole variety of things. Now, Hogan also referred to an interview that CBC did with several residents of Woodstock, a very right-wing region of the province, who would seem to be more susceptible to Hogan and Higgs's views. Now, half of them stated that would like to see parents know what was going on with the kids. But according to Hogan published reports, he said that the media is not reporting the fact correctly. I can tell you we're reporting it correctly. It's not just CBC's covering this. This is turning into international news. Now, the CBC has filed a right to information request for the complaints. Now, response to the request, again, takes 30 days and could go as 60. Hogan said Wednesday the province will be revealing results of review into the policy in 2 weeks, likely long before any response to information request comes in. Now, what they're basically doing, they're going back on their own policy. This was not a liberal policy. Gallant was completely out, and this was done in consultation with the LGBTQ community in the province. Now, the gay straight alliance groups in the province, various gender queer and associated groups welcome the policy because it gives more freedom to the child if they're questioning gender, if they're, like this example, asexual, non-binary. It covers it. Now, I'm going to give you a personal example. How it worked back in the day, ladies and gentlemen. In the 1970s, I was almost murdered at my Jacket River school, my middle school, because people thought it was gay. There was no protection for me there. I was getting bullied on a regular basis. I was quite highly intelligent and advanced 1 year in school from the nearby Nashville School. And one afternoon in grade 8, I was attacked by 3 people who were claiming I was gay because I was reading Ring magazine, which was a very prominent sports magazine at the time. I was kicked upwards of 10 to 15 times in the head with steel-toe boots. Now, the school at the time had nearly 300 to 400 students with only 1 or 2 teachers on supervision at noon hour. It was a free-for-all. With this new policy that I noticed for a fact, it not only protects gay people and transgender people, it protects people from being bullied who are not gay and people that are being bullied who are gay. So it gives enough protection where you have a way to speak out about the situation. Because there was no policy in place, this almost led to my murder. And I say murder. If you're kicked 10 to 15 times in the head with a steel-toe boot, what would you call that? That's not playing around there, ladies and gentlemen. He said, we're going to show you what we do to people who look at naked pictures of men. Now, whether I'm gay or not, they had no right to kick me 15 times in the head with a steel-toe boot. It was just the anger that he had internally. They may have been abused at home or whatever. And, I'm a type of person, I don't hold spite. But let's say it was murdered, ladies and gentlemen. That means the 55 to 60,000 articles I've written as a journalist and the 3,000 podcasts, and the podcast you're listening to right now would not have occurred if those people would have continued to go on with the way it was going on. If the policy was in place, I don't think incidents would have escalated to my level. So I'm in support of the policy. Yes, it can be reviewed, and yes, there can be input. But the fact is, do we want to go back to the 1970s, 80s in New Brunswick, where mentally challenged people were being abused at school, people that were questioning or gay or whatever were being abused at school, were being shunned, discriminated against, and also Christians going to school back in the day were also attacked verbally and emotionally on a regular basis. There's a song by Rush called Subdivisions that kind of sums it up. If you didn't fit in, they would try to destroy you because the bullies rule the schools in New Brunswick. In 2023, the right-wingers don't rule the schools and the Christian groups don't rule the schools. It's what you call a very secular type of system where you get in. But if someone is concerned about the policy, can also homeschool. They can basically do correspondence. If you don't believe in the policy, yes, it's okay. But if the majority are benefiting from the policy, you are in the minority. I was going to schools where the minority were ruling, and that's not good. So, ladies and gentlemen, it's an ongoing situation. We'll try to update. I want everybody on the right or left-wing side of the fence to read the policy. If you can get a copy, read the policy if you can. Make your own decision. I'm not telling you what to say. But were to come to a fact, do you want to go back to what it was like before, where people were scared to go to school? You would drop out. The first assignment I did as a journalist back in official assignment back in the 80s was a guy who killed himself because he was gay. Do you think that was a good way to start my career? One of my residents of my own region killing himself like that? This torturing and negativity got to stop. Peace and love should rule. And I think that's what a policy would do. Thanks for listening. Bye.